Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Recently I've been working on a rather in-depth unit list for the Chaos Dwarfs, and during my research I've come across a unit which might be extremely overpowered, very difficult to balance in one way, shape or form, or just not added in outright. It was very rare to actually see this unit played on the tabletop. It's mainly because it just had no practical sense, but in Total War Warhammer it's still very much possible, I'm assuming. I'm of course referring to the Iron Demon war engine, a steam-powered war machine very similar to that of the Imperial steam tank, though a tad more complicated and a lot more destructive. For basic concept on the tabletop, it was an unbreakable war machine with 2 attached cannons. But what made this unit truly unique was a number of special rules that we'll go over now. First, let's talk about how it treated terrain. It had a special rule known as Demolition, which is rather inconsequential in Total War Warhammer, where small terrain on the tabletop which reached up to the height of its wheels, bear in mind this is a rather large model, would be destroyed upon impact. Now of course, minor terrains such as fencings and so on in Total War Warhammer already get destroyed even when Skaven slaves walk through them. Of course, this is further expanded upon with their other special rule, Skullcracker. This was a special rule designed for the Demon war engine itself, where you could use the Demon war engine to attack fortifications and walls. This is essentially very much like a battering ram, but suited for actual walls. This is easy enough to be implemented in game. In fact, we've already seen this being implemented officially, and we've already seen this done by modders. It makes sense to obviously have something which looks like a powerful train ramming into walls and doing as much damage as possible. Everything we've already explained so far is in fact doable, but this is where the unit itself gets complicated, with its special rule known as Carriage Hauler. The Iron Demon may haul 1 or more steam carriages behind it. If this is the case, they are treated as attached to the Iron Demon model and move as it moves. They must also be targeted separately by shooting attacks if they can be seen. If the carriages are charged, they must be attacked separately as normal, but unless the Iron Demon is also engaged, the carriages may not be locked in combat, and the whole train may move on in the next turn. If the Iron Demon itself or a carriage ahead in the train is destroyed, any carriages left behind are stranded. So with the description of this special rule, you might see where the complication might come in. The Iron Demon war engine was made extremely unique, not because it was like a steam tank for the dwarfs, but rather as a locomotive of a train, where the other artillery pieces introduced through the Tamukhan Thrones of Chaos campaign, those specifically for the Chaos Dwarfs, could be attached to the Iron Demon war engine itself as a form of carriage. You can see on screen right now regarding some other Chaos Dwarf artillery pieces how they all have the Carriage Attachment mechanisms. This is a fully customizable artillery train which you could tend to as your own specific playstyle. It was not commonly seen on the tabletop, not just because the Chaos Dwarves were a Forge World race and thus very expensive, but mechanically on the tabletop it made them quite a big target. However, in Total War, artillery and other things do act drastically different as they did on the tabletop, which then leads to question as to how exactly a unit like this could even be implemented. It would be a bit of a shame if Creative Assembly never actually implemented this unit, as of course, yes, it's very memey, but it could prove to be something rather unique. Of course, the basic way of being implemented could just be the locomotive itself, where the unit would very much act like a Imperial steam tank, only with the ability to actually destroy walls with physical attacks, not just range. But that would be a bit of a shame, wouldn't it? It's got these special rules that could, in theory, be done. Of course, I could be wrong here, but just hear me out. What if you can't recruit the Iron Demon war engine purely by itself? And by that I mean purely by its conventional means, where you would open up the recruitment tab, click the unit you want, and then wait the turns you need to recruit it. but instead being able to recruit it through a separate tab and have some customability in a very similar sense to that of how Throt the Unclean can upgrade his units. A separate tab which may only be accessible through something similar to that of Rights. From there, you'll have access to the Iron Demon War Engine, and you can produce one maybe every 10 to 15 turns or so. Through this, you could decide to have the locomotive by itself, or you would be able to attach carriages to it. Of course, these carriages should not be treated as a separate unit, as that might be a bit too complicated to actually implement, but instead it would function as a singular unit. Of course, carriages should only be limited to 1 or 2. It would be a tad ridiculous if you could implement every single carriage possible. Balancing will obviously be a bit of an issue here, as you would have the Iron Demon War Engine, then you could attach a possible Dreadquake Mortar, or just whatever you chose from your roster. However, Chaos Dwarfs themselves, as explained, were a Forge World race, so balancing was never really part of the question when it came to Games Workshop, and I think that they should be fairly powerful in Total War too. Instead, what could be done to supplement this in a way would be maybe just dramatically increasing its cost as you add the carriages. Cost, of course, is inconsequential once you start snowballing in your campaign, so it can be assumed as the extra carriages get implemented, its upkeep will also get dramatically increased. Early on, you won't be able to afford many carriages, however later on in your campaign, once you become a powerhouse, this will not be a problem in itself. I think that something like this could work rather well, especially if the unit is presented to be so unique on the tabletop. It should be so in Total War also. It would be a shame if the unit itself was just implemented as a Chaos Dwarf steam tank. But what do you guys think about the Iron Demon War Engine, and how do you think it could be implemented? I've honestly tried to think about this in multiple ways, but this seems like it is indeed a possibility. I've asked some modders if something like this could indeed be possible, where they have responded that theoretically yes, as this would just mean that multiple different types of the same model would have to be created with the attachment of the carriage. Which in all fairness, the only thing against this, barring the fact that it's just copy pasting of assets, is probably the fact that some animation work will have to be done to connect the locomotive to the carriages, but it could be pretty certain that the animation for the carriages to the locomotive could be used on the other different carriages too, unless they're very drastically different. But with all that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.